gotta love that Oaklander, wanna see that Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Piece of heaven, with our new exit on 287, we can be seen on Channel 20, that's our TV. Oaklander, gotta love that Oaklander, wanna see that Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Love it. Catch our fall season.
Good evening and welcome to the Oaklander. I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo. January marks the beginning of 1997. It also is the start of our third year of being Oakland's first public access television show. So as we look ahead into 1997, we'd like to extend the invitation for you to be on our show. So become involved. Use public access as a platform for your ideas. You never know, one of your ideas just might catch on. Before we get going tonight, I'd like to respond to the calls we've received about our recent guests and how we make contact. Well, that's because of our website. Our director, Greg Schuss, updates it constantly. It tells of upcoming shows, monthly guests, and Greg handles the email on a timely basis. This technology helps us focus in and reach out for new talent. We're on the World Wide Web, so just do a Yahoo search for Oaklander. And now here's Isabel Schuss with our first guest.
January is usually the month we set aside for new beginnings. We make New Year's resolutions, which are usually about us wanting to have a more happy and healthier year than the year before. Tonight, my guest is Dick Norman. He's the president of the Bergen-Passaic chapter of the Mended Hearts. This service has been in existence for over 45 years. Dick and a group of volunteers work on a daily basis to help a certain group of people with their own new beginnings. Here now is Dick Norman. Welcome to the Oaklander, Dick.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. Dick, I have been reading the material that you had given me, and regarding the Mended Hearts, as I mentioned in the opening, the existence, it started back in 51, I believe.
That's right.
It was started by 4 post-surgical patients who had had heart surgery.
That's right.
Can you give us just a brief background as to why they started the service?
Well, it was started in Boston, actually, and there was a doctor involved, too, who felt that his patients would benefit by having people who had already been through surgery visit with them, talk to them, show them that it worked, and that gave them a little idea of what to expect. And that started really the visiting program, which is the main reason for Mended Hearts being an organization.
Great.
And from that point, it expanded to what it is today, about 270 chapters around the country.
That's nationwide?
Nationwide. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Can you tell us about how many visitors you have as of today in the chapter?
There were 17 visitors.
17. That's in your local chapter?
That's in our local chapter, and we make about 4,500 visits a year.
Wow, that's an awful lot.
Yeah. Well, we visit 3 hospitals.
Mm-hmm. And which hospitals?
And that's Hackensack University Medical Center, St. Joe's in Patterson, mm-hmm. and Valley Hospital in Ridgewood.
Okay. Has there been any thinking in terms of expanding the hospitals that you go to? What kind of process do you have to go to to be affiliated with a hospital?
Well, you have to have a visitor program, train visitors, and we're affiliated with the American Heart Association, which wants us, as of this year, to expand the people that we see. Normally, we saw only people who had had surgery. Now they want us to see all the non-invasive heart patients, which would then really include most of the hospitals in the county, in both
Right.
counties. So we need more visitors for that, and you have to go through a training period, and you have to get permission of the hospital
Right.
and cooperation from them. We're not quite ready to make that move yet. We need more visitors.
Now, when you say non-invasive, what does that involve?
Non-invasive is just anything from a heart attack to suspected heart attacks, into angioplasty, which is slightly invasive, and orthorectomies, stents, things of that nature, things that do not require open heart surgery.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. In other words, the open heart bypass surgery, the open heart valve surgery, we don't see people other than those in many of the hospitals. Only about, I think at the last count, about not quite 50% of the chapters saw non-invasive patients.
Oh.
All the rest saw just the open heart people.
As the organization is developing, how do you basically train the volunteers to become visitors?
Well, we have a course which is given by our visiting chairman, Vince Mennerly, and we generally wait until there's 4 or 5 people that are ready to take the course. We give it 2 or 3 times a year as people volunteer. And what it entails really is the do's and don'ts of visiting a patient. You have to remember that you're not a doctor, so you don't prescribe medicine. But you do encourage, you do show that the operation can be a great success and a great change in your life. And you kind of get their spirits up. That's the main purpose of it. The main purpose is visiting people and encouraging them to go on with life, feeling a lot better, and paying attention to the Mended Heart slogan, which is, it's great to be alive and help others.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's like the new beginnings we spoke about,
Right.
you know, that they get a new lease on life and start over. You mentioned about Mended Hearts being affiliated with the American Heart Association. How did that come about, and what do you actually do for one another?
Well, American Heart Association allows us to use an office in their Dallas, Texas building as our national headquarters. We only have 1 employee.
Oh.
Everybody else is a volunteer. And American Heart Association has made grants to Mended Hearts, which pays for printing and many of the things that we use. Now, there are 2 brochures that American Heart Association puts out now that mention the affiliation with Mended Hearts. Our aim is that the American Heart Association and Mended Hearts become synonymous at some point, and people realize that we are a team.
Right, right. You had given me some pamphlets. This is called PATH, Patients and Their Hearts.
Right.
This is, I guess, one of the things.
Yeah, well, this is the main one, and this one, this past year, Mended Hearts nationally gave out 150,000 of these.
Wow.
And we had visited last year 240 some odd thousand people. So, we try to get it in everybody's hands. But American Heart Association does have other pamphlets which are individualized on subjects like smoking and heart disease and things like that, which some of those pamphlets you have. And when it's necessary, we give those out.
You give these out to the individual patients depending on what their particular needs are. Is that right? Okay. We've been speaking about the service on the local level, but actually it is a national service. And can you tell us what regions you're in or how many chapters?
Well, we have 8 regions around the country, and there are about 270 chapters. So you know, it's nationwide, and in each area. It may work a little differently. There may be different relationships with hospitals. There may be different relationships with American Heart Association, but basically we all try to do the same thing. And we have a goal this year to increase visitation by about 15%, to increase membership by about the same amount, and I think we have a goal of adding about 25 chapters to the national.
That's aggressive. At this time, I think we might have to take a short break.
Okay.
So please stay tuned with us, and we'll be back right after these messages.
That any child should die before his or her time is, to me, simply unacceptable. Those are the words of our late friend Danny Thomas, who founded St. Jude Children's Hospital in 1962. Danny lived to see many children survive cancer, but it's still tough to beat. Until new cures are found, we will continue to lose many of these precious children. Danny may be gone, but the research at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital goes on.
Hi, welcome back. We're sitting with Dick Norman. Dick, you mentioned that Mended Hearts publishes a newsletter. How often does that go out, and who does it go to?
Well, are you referring to the local one?
Yeah, the local newsletter.
Local one is published monthly, and it goes out to our membership. We have 200 members in this chapter, and it goes out to doctors. It goes out to new patients. When we see a patient at the hospital, we'll send them the newsletter for 3 months, and if they come to a meeting, that's fine. If they don't, then we stop sending it. And it goes to other chapters to let them know what we're doing. We exchange newsletters with, so we send out about 500.
Well, that's really great. It's a wonderful organization. I know a lot of people, you know, really need your service, and we're going to talk about if people want to get in touch with Mended Hearts, they should call Mended Hearts at, I think your number is 833-1461. Is that correct?
64.
64.
Right.
So it's 833-1464.
That's right.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I truly appreciate you coming on board, talking to us. I know this is a very, very worthwhile organization. If people want to talk about being visitors, they should call you as well.
Right.
And if there's anybody in our outside that need help, that might be going into some type of service that they need, they can call you as well,
yes, certainly.
Personally.
Come down to our meetings, which are held at Hackensack Hospital the 3rd Thursday of each month at 7:30.
Great,
So.
great. Well, thank you for being our guest tonight,
My
and we
pleasure.
really appreciate it. I'm Isabel Schuss for the Oaklander, and we'll be back after these messages.
What's in a painting? Time, it's a moment in time. Listen to me and follow my rhyme. Look at a picture and ask yourself what the painter was thinking. You think you know, but what was happening before and after? Was she crying or was there laughter? A picture shows a certain time of day. Early and late, this artist painted hay. So take a good look at any picture you find. The answer to these questions are in your own mind.
My friend wants to be a firefighter when she grows up. Me, I'm gonna be a famous fire engine designer. First, I'll fit them with those monster truck tires, so they'll drive right through busy traffic. Instead of sirens and bells, I'll record some rock stars screaming really loud. That'll get people's attention. Forget ladders. This engine would have a huge Ferris wheel. And the Dalmatians would have red spots, so they'd match the truck better. Thanks to me, Patty Clark, fire engine designer.
Welcome back to the Oaklander. Our next guest is an enormously talented individual. He's acted in musicals, drama, and comedy. And if that wasn't enough, he's also a stand-up comedian and well known for his vocal impressions. With us now is Tom Chenoweth. Thanks for coming down, Tom.
Appreciate being here.
Wonderful. Tom, that's quite a resume. Plays, comedy. Are your impressions the main focus of your current act?
Yeah, when I do, I'm trying to break into the world of voiceovers and also stand-up comedy. I perform with Uncle Floyd at Colucci's, and he's trying to get me circulated places. I also talk to a couple other performers, and but also I'm trying to get into the voiceovers end where they hear you doing previously done voices or whatever, but then they go on that and find you ways to make you create your own voice, your own new voice for like cartoons, commercials, things like that.
So you work on creating new characters?
Yeah.
How's that going?
Oh, hanging in there. It's well, if you say new, like people would, a lot of maybe characters I played on stage might be based on people I know but aren't well known and things like that.
So
but,
no one would really know them yet?
No.
Until you get to be famous.
Right.
And come back and do our show.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You just completed a stage production last November. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was Roundpole College's production of Hair. I graduated Roundpole College about 1.5 years ago, but since it was the 25th anniversary of it, and they allowed me to come back as an alumni and play, have a small but great part in the production of Hair, and I played Margaret Mead. I played, it was supposed to be, a man dressed up in drag or whatever, playing the Margaret Mead, the famous anthropologist. And I did the voice as Edith Bunker. And people got a big kick out of it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. You see a lot of people that you knew in the audience and things like that?
Oh, yeah. People from time to time.
That's wonderful. Well, you're Oakland born and raised. Do you ever do impressions of your high school teachers and coaches and things like that?
The one person I became most well known for in high school for doing is the famous janitor there, Lenny. And he was like very popular with the kids. He played Santa Claus every year and things like that. And he just, he palled around with a lot of people. People could look up to him and things like that. And I just became, well, a tickle in his right side, just sort of like, because I impersonated him at times, and sometimes he'd act angry, but behind it you could tell him he's trying not to laugh.
Could you give us a little bit of Lenny right now?
All right. How you doing, pal? Oh yeah, what's up? I got a sweep here, he's passed on by now, but he retired in the 80s, but may he rest in peace. He was one hell of an inspiration.
Well, and also being Oakland born here, I think it's almost time to say hi to Grandma Edna. Hi Edna. Say hi to your grandma.
Hi Grandma, I love you because you're a good cook. Let's go to the Dairy Queen.
She's super.
That's an old joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's an inside one there, right?
Yeah, she'll get it. Oh, the plane didn't arrive yet. It's not in the driveway yet.
She's wonderful. She makes me feel wonderful whenever I feel her tugging at my shirt sleeve downtown or something. But again, people would also recognize your dad, who's been on our show. And things like that. You come from a very talented family.
Thank you.
Looney Tune cartoon voices sound very interesting. How about hearing some of the Looney Tune characters, Tom?
Okay. Well, I say, what's a gag, son? Gag, that is. That Rhode Island bird turned red, then white, then blue. Rhode Island, red, white, and blue. That's a joke, son. You built too low. The jokes go way over your head. I keep pitching them, and you throw, and you keep missing. You got a hole in your glove, you know.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn Leghorn.
All right.
That's my favorite Warner Brothers. There's other voices I'm trying to copy.
One of my favorites is the taxidermist.
Oh, come here, little bunny rabbit. This is how you're going to look after you're stuffed. Trying to outsmart me again, eh, old chum?
That's
You
great.
sound like the guy in the movie, The Great Gildersleeve.
Or one of my other favorite bugs is the Easter Yanks.
Oh dear, that crazy rabbit forgot to deliver my eggs again. If you want something done, you're gonna have to do it yourself. Remember, keep smiling.
That's great, Tom. That is great. What are some of your personal traits that you key in when you're trying to develop either a character, whether it's someone's live or a cartoon character?
I don't know. It's either there's something you pick up about them, whether it be the way their eyebrows move, or something about something like you know what particular tone of voice they happen to be in at the time or whatever. But also you figure out where in the voice, where in the face or voice you should place them. You know, like you try on their facial expression, then it often creates the voice. Like I recently recreated Mr. Sulu a couple of months ago or whatever, and I called a friend up and hello, John. I'm currently collecting gaseous planetary anomalies in Beta Quadrant, you know, and Sulu out, you know, and you know, his friends on the line and the answering machine got a big kick out of it and things like that. And
I guess it could kind of help, like almost doing like Captain Kirk the way he would make his.
it takes time. It takes time to figure that out. Yes. And but, and I say, well, damn it, I'm an impressionist, not a voice analyst, you know.
That's great, Tom. Do you find impressions of presidents and politicians are constant on the comedy club menu?
Oh yeah, you get a lot of them, you know. But if you got a request, you got to do it. Now, you got a problem, you got to fix it. Got a solution, I'm all ears. Throw a cat up in the air, spins around a million directions, land on all 4 feet, tail still points in one direction. Now that's Congress for you. Now.
That's great. How about say Dick Nixon?
Well, I'm rather embarrassed to be on this show if you ask me to do that voice, because I'd rather be at home when during the holidays putting another tape on the fire.
Another tape on the fire. I love that. That's great. How about our present occupant of the White House?
Our present occupant of the White House. Well, I'm delighted to be elected to a second term because now I can inhale. Who
are some of your personal favorites?
The ones I don't get to do too often because they're either too obscure or like certain audiences would not get them. The first college I went up to, I'll never forget this. I mean, there's a guy up there, way up in upstate New York, says, I don't know who Jimmy Stewart is. And like, you know, around here, people think you're insane, you know, for not knowing that. And like, that was like quite, and I knew I had to come back to Oakland if that was the case.
Really? Never heard of Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. So it's, So you know, even though I was loved in Bedford Falls, it's other towns I'm not too welcome in. And but you know, Mr. Potter gets around. You know, he spreads the bad word. And,
I mean, some of your other favorite ones. I mean, do you just kind of walk around the house muttering things to yourself and in other people's voices sometimes? 'Cause I know I do.
Let's see. Well, people want to know how I learned the voices, and I always say it was a horrible skiing accident. You know, I just banged my head and they all came out.
You've never been the same since.
Never been the same since, you know. And yeah. You know, you have to watch a lot of TV, and you have to listen to a lot of records and things, and you just you spend a lot of your school years doing a lot of just passive observance of the teachers and not dwelling on the subject matter.
Yeah.
But you know, as the cornfield said to the farmer, I'm all ears, you know.
Listen, you do a regular stand-up act at Uncle Roy's and
Yeah.
Colucci's Comedy Club.
Yeah.
When we come back from the break here, how about entertaining our little in-studio audience, Tom?
I would be honored. I would find it
Wonderful.
delighted.
And we will return with Tom Chenoweth after these words. Stay with us.
Water, water everywhere and not a drop to spare. Water on the ground, water in the air. Though it may evaporate, it never goes away. Snows onto your mountaintop, flows into your bay. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me and I'll keep it clean for you. Keep it clean for me and I'll keep it clean for you. Keep it clean for
What is it? It's sticky. Feels pretty gross. It could be worms. Feels very slimy. Or it could be snakes. An octopus. A plain old eel. As thick as mermaid hair. Big chunks of... Oh, I know. It's a crab. Creepy crawlers. It's all how you look at it.
Okay, good evening, good evening. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Oakland's own comedian and vocal impressionist, Mr. Tom Chenoweth. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Well, good evening, everyone. And, well, I panted out a list of request voices. Any requests to beginning with? You want to hear Spock? Okay. I find that choice illogical to begin with, but I will gladly oblige with, you know, Captain. Doctor, you really must learn to calm yourself. You govern your passions. They will be your undoing. My God, the man's talking about logic, Jim. We're talking about universal Armageddon, you green-blooded inhuman, you. Red. Oh, Stampy, you idiot. Stampy, my pal.
Hey, Ren, we're on the radio.
Do a little of ha-ha, I got to deal with my disintegrating pistol. And brother, when it disintegrates, it disintegrates. Well, what do you know? It disintegrated.
I have stolen the Illudium P-36 explosive space modulator. The Earth will be gone in a few minutes.
Captain Kirk. Captain's log. Star date. Anyone got a calendar? Scotty, Spock, have we been through this episode before? Quite possible, Captain. This is the 12th time they've rerun it. Any more? Elmer Fudd. Well, you wind my phone, operator. Hello, I'm out hunting a schooly rabbit.
He's got me dead to white stock. Would you like to shoot me now or wait till you get home? Shoot him now. Shoot him now. You keep out of this. He doesn't have to shoot you now. But I say he does have to shoot me now. So shoot me now.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson here. Well, the show will be airing in January, and you know the winter is my favorite time of year because I get to relax in the motel and do my writing. If you know the reference to that movie.
I'll tell you, I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape, you know what I mean? Yeah, my doctor told me I got 6 months to live. I tell him like a second opinion. He says, okay, you're ugly too, you know what I mean? Yeah, my parents told me I had to get a loaf of bread. When I came back, they moved, you know what I mean? Arnold Schwarzenegger. My hair is falling out. Is it a tumor? I'm going to jingle all the way this holiday season.
I love to eat Jell-O pudding. When Jell-O pudding came out, my mother would not give me any, and I wanted to know why. Kids, would you like some creamy Jell-O instant pudding?
Hey.
Bob Murphy. Oh, you watch the Mets? Not really. Okay. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Bob Murphy, and a high fly hit deep to left field. There it goes, and a home run. And the score at the end of 5, the Mets 9, the Phillies 5.
Do Tom Smothers.
Tommy Smothers. If I don't know the words, I don't sing the song. If I don't know the notes, I don't blow the tune. If I don't know the steps, I don't do the dance. That's the way I live my life. Jackie Mason. Well, I never heard that request in a long time. I really appreciate it. Really glad you said that. You know, whoever you are, you know, maybe it's God. I don't know. But, you know, I go to Florida every year just to visit my hubcaps, you know. Mr. Wilbur, you ever try the Thanksgiving early American horse? Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. I'm tired of having peanut butter and wires stuck in my mouth.
Darth Vader.
I have been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. The circuit is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Only master of evil, Darth.
You Bob Dylan? I didn't know you did Bob Dylan.
Well, I'd like to thank you. You know, Doc, you got the education and so forth, and I'm no class act, you know, but I did give the guy a home, you know, and I gave him food, too. And Anyway, any more?
Yeah. What do you want? Okay.
I had nothing to do with it, see? I washed my hands of the situation. I just tied the votes, see? That was not my fault, see? Oh, they're adorable.
Okay, let's have one more. One more for Tom.
One more.
Brando?
Brando, that's a good one done with, kid. I really appreciate it. You know, you're welcome in the Corleone family anytime. You know. Well,
All right. Tom. Let's have a great hand for Tom Chenoweth here, Oakland's own Tom Chenoweth.
Yay!
Tom, that's great. Thank you for being with us here.
Hi, I'm Nancy Workma. I live in Oakland, and I've been involved with Flo Follies for the last 2 years. It's quite a show, and there's nothing like it. It's a lot of fun. Franklin Lakes, Wyckoff, and Oakland parents getting together to put on a show, and it's for a great cause, our kids. Since 1987, Flo Follies has raised over $135,000 for college scholarships. Please come and join us. You'll have a great time, and performances will be held from March 13th through March 15th in 1997.
Excuse me. It would sound much better if we cooperate. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Welcome back to the show. We are pleased to have with us now Randy Shaw. Randy is the director and supervising attorney for the Tenderloin Housing Clinic in San Francisco and author of the Activist Handbook, a book that provides guidance to people who seek progressive social change with practical advice and strategies. And now, direct from California is Randy Shaw. Welcome to the program, Randy.
Thanks for having me on the Oaklander show. What I'm going to try to do is answer some questions for your audience that come out of the experience in my book, The Activist Handbook.
Because most residents have little time to attend council meetings, how can they address their concerns to the mayor and council in a productive manner?
When you have a local community and trying to improve local action, it's always difficult to get people to find time to attend meetings. It's very, very difficult, and the people who do have time to attend meetings are the politicians and their allies who can then spend all the time out organizing you and defeating you if you're themselves not organized. You don't have a strategy to get people to become involved. And almost a premise of the Activist Handbook is without the organization, you can't even begin to win the fight. So you have to at least get people to figure out how to input decision makers and to have people go to the hearings that they're affected by. If you don't have that, you're not going to go to anywhere, any of the further steps that I discuss in my book. You have to really get people to be focused and at least focusing on going to council meetings and the like. When you're in a community, and it's true for around many places in America today, people say, well, we have Republicans in office, so what can we do? It doesn't mean that things are hopeless. And I think in neighboring New York, in this past election, we saw that the greatest environmental victories they've had in generations have occurred in 1996 in neighboring New York on environmental issues. The big Environmental Bond Act in New York is an example which was supported by a Republican governor. So I think that on many issues, you can often find, particularly Republicans in a place like New Jersey, that they may disagree with you on 75% of the issues, but look for the 25% where there is agreement and work on those. And that's really one of the most important things I talk about in my book, is a need to identify the commonality, to create the coalitions with groups and with people who you may disagree with on many, many, many issues, but you can at least move forward on the issues you agree upon.
How can organizations like the Sierra Club or the New Jersey Public Interest Research Group help with local environmental issues?
Now, considering the environmental problems that apparently exist in Oakland, it's obvious that you have to connect to some of the larger statewide environmental groups that exist there. I don't know what connection, there must be some Sierra Club members in Oakland. You mentioned the New Jersey Public Interest Research Group. If they're anything like NYPIRG, the New York group, they would be tremendous allies. I mean, I have a whole chapter in the book about NYPIRG's achievements, stopping an incinerator, a planned incinerator for the Brooklyn Navy Yard in Williamsburg. And I think the New Jersey PIRG or the Sierra Club or any other statewide environmental groups is looking to connect to local activists like people listening in Oakland. So by all means, that should be one of the first things you do, because then you won't have to reinvent the wheel and you can connect with some experienced activists.
There is very little media coverage for these and other issues in Oakland, including getting press for our own TV show. How can we get the local media to pay attention?
Getting media to focus on one's issues is a perennial question. People are always saying, the media doesn't cover my issues, and I discuss in my book how there are ways, despite even a hostile media, that you can get media to focus on your issue. And the classic example that I discuss in the book, which is applicable to all issues, is the case of the AIDS Coalition Unleash Power in the late 1980s in New York, where what you had was a very hostile press, particularly the New York Times, so hostile that ACT UP actually had to protest at the publisher of the New York Times house, which had no impact on their coverage. But what they did do, and which groups around the country and groups in your community that don't feel they're getting the coverage can do, is figure out ways where coverage is inevitable. For example, if President Clinton is coming to Oakland, make sure you're there with your signs on your issues. Any major official, whether it be a senator coming to Oakland, your own senators coming, do the same thing. ACT UP used to go to the post office on April 15th, approaching midnight, when there's all the live television cameras, to say, you know, our tax dollars, holding up signs, our tax dollars should be used for health services instead of the military. Now, there was no way they could be edited out because it was live TV, and it had to be live TV because it's the staple of all local news broadcasts, is to have that particular late night income tax filing rush covered live. So think of those opportunities. It doesn't have to be your own media generated event. You can often pick off of celebrities and top officials coming to your town. And then, of course, there's a whole way that you can do things, make news, so to speak, which is dramatic, which will allow your story to compete with the crime and hurricane coverage that occurs. There are ways to do that, which I discuss in the Activist Handbook, and it's really a function of being very strategic and understanding what the media wants to cover.
Should local activists always seek legal representation? Or is it important to have a lawyer present when you're confronting the mayor and council?
I think that your question about legal representation, clearly you don't need a lawyer for dealing in the political realm. And I discuss in the book in my chapter on lawyers, as you know, that you want to only use a lawyer for the technical assistance and for the very things lawyers are used for, which is dealing with legal issues and potential litigation or current lawsuits. It would probably, I mean, it's not something I'd advise, but you certainly do not need a lawyer in your political work. If you think that it's more impressive for the mayor and council because they're dealing with a lawyer, by all means have one, but don't, you know, it just disempowers your group to suddenly say, here's our lawyer, they're going to be the ones dealing, we're going to stay back. So use a lawyer, but use it someone you trust and use it very, very strategic.
What is your experience in getting citizens involved in making social change? Is it a sales pitch or a plea for help?
You know, that's a very broad question about how to get citizens involved in social change. I mean, most people want to go on with their lives and raise their families or go to work and go to a sporting event or go to a ballet or go out and walk in the park with their dog and that kind of stuff. But what happens in communities around the world is something emerges in that community which ends up something you have to get involved with. For example, if someone is planning on building an incinerator or is polluting your stream or is about to open a Walmart in your neighborhood which will destroy your downtown, people then realize that unless they take action, then they're going to lose issues that are very, and quality of life which is very dear to them. That's why we see so much activism around local issues. People who have a commitment to the cause of abortion rights, for example, is not a local issue. It's a woman-identified issue, and it's a feminist issue, and so people get involved with that, even though, and they find meaning through those kind of issues. So when people say it's difficult to get citizens involved, what they're usually looking at is, you know, we're mad because we held a meeting and people didn't come because they were watching Monday Night Football or they were watching soap operas, they were doing other stuff. It often means that what the activist leadership may think is a hot issue is not a hot issue among the actual people who you want to come to your meeting. I talk in the book about having conventions and summits and forums to decide what issues people are really interested in, and in the course of those events, not to simply say, we think this is important, we think that's important, but to add, will you put time into that issue? Because people who say this is the most important issue, this means a lot to me, we have to find a cure for cancer. That's great. Finding a cure for cancer in the big picture is probably more important than stopping the Walmart from coming into your community. But when you say, okay, is there anything you can do on a day-to-day basis when you come home from work to work on a cancer cure? Well, there isn't, say. Is there something then you can do to stop the Walmart? Well, there is, because it's local community involvement that makes a difference in stopping those projects. So you have to pick issues that people have decided they not only think are important, but they want to get involved in. And issue selection is absolutely critical toward continued activism, because you find the best way to get people not be involved is to pick an issue that can't be won, that can't even really be fought. Like if someone said today, I want to work for a cure for cancer, and I want to organize and this and that. Well, that becomes a medical research issue. And there might be a focus on trying to get more funding and get your legislature to get more funding allocated in Congress to get that. That's a different, that's something you can work on. But you'll find that the global issues, as they say, think globally, act locally, because the reality is often the greater emphasis in terms of people's commitment of their spare time, what little they have, to working on the issues that directly impact their life. And I think once people have success at winning issues locally, they then expand their focus beyond that. So if you find yourself in a position where you're saying, gee, we really have to make what you describe as a sales pitch, if you have to sell it too hard, then maybe you're not working on something that is ever going to have very much interest. You need to work on the kind of issue. If someone walks in and says, like you referred to, pollution problems, and people say, hey, if we don't do something here, our children's health's affected. People aren't going to say, oh, really, I'm not interested. They're going to jump to the fore and move forward on that. And so that's one of the main things that any group trying to organize for social change has to do, is work on issues that are really of interest to people, and issues that people will put time into working on and feel like they can prevail on. And that's what I discuss in the book. And I will be having a weekly column on my website, which is www.igc.vpc.org/activists, where people watching can send questions, and I will respond to them either in the column or through the mail. So best of luck to the people of Oakland.
Randy, thanks so much for being on our program. We hope all our viewers found this informative. If you would like more information on this subject, you can pick up Randy's book, The Activist Handbook, now available through the University of California Press and Borders bookstores. I'm Greg Schuss for the Oaklander, and we'll be right back after these messages.
In an emergency, doctors you've never met will have only moments to make decisions about your care. They'll need information quickly, your conditions, allergies, medications, physician and family contacts. But you may be unconscious or in so much pain that you can't recall critical details, and the risk of complications can increase significantly. Medic Alert provides this information within seconds. Help us help you by wearing the Medic Alert emblem. Call now for free information.
Every evening, before I go to sleep, I look outside my window at the moon above the trees. And I think that somewhere else, someone else is looking out a different window at the same moon. I imagine that this person is imagining me.
My friend wants to be a baseball star when he grows up. Me, I'm going to be the maker of the world's best baseball bats. First, I'd search the planet for the world's most exotic wood. I'd make palm tree bats to confuse the fielders, super long redwood bats for those outside pitches, even bats with knotholes for the teams we didn't like. And after the World Series, a big ticker tape parade would be held just for the bats. Thanks to me, Tim Akora, Bat Builder.
Down in the low, shut. You don't care about the week.
Our thanks to tonight's co-host, Isabel Schuss with Dick Norman of Mended Hearts, Tom Chenoweth, and our in-studio audience for Betty and Lynn and Liz and Elizabeth, to our director Greg Schuss with author Randy Shaw, to Ellen Adler and TCI of Northern New Jersey, and thank you for watching. And don't forget to visit us on the World Wide Web. Just do a Yahoo search for Oaklander. Let's communicate digitally. So for the Oaklander, I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo, and we'll see you next time.
Tell you what you ought to do.